Do whistleblowers get fired unjustly? Yes. Do employers get accused unjustly of things just to be bilked by employees eager to bilk the deep pockets of the rich? Yes. Do young parents with 6 kids in tow get talked about and whispered about when they walk into places and get made fun of for being so stupid? Yes. Do children who stand against bullies or are just trying to be themselves get made fun of for that, even beat up verbally or otherwise? Yes. Do young men and women who choose the path of religious life, go into seminaries or convents, get ridiculed for that choice, called fools for wasting their lives, even by their parents, and for sure by their peers? Yes. Do students who choose not to cheat on a test or a paper get a lower grade than some others who do, especially when those things are graded on curves? Yes. Do students in Washington University get ridiculed or being made ashamed for walking to church on Sunday for Sunday Mass, even if it means missing something that everybody else thinks they should be at, like a fraternity meeting or a sorority gathering? But they're here just because they believe in God. Do they get ridiculed for that? Yes. Do students at Washington University who are gay or lesbian get ostracized by others in the LGBT community for taking their Catholic faith seriously and coming to Mass? Yes. Do young men and women who want to wait till marriage for sex get dropped by their partner? Dropped because they can't wait, or they feel rejected constantly because that other person won't sleep with them? Do they get dropped for that? Yes. Do students at this university who change their majors, who are willing to sacrifice more income and prestige to follow their passions, only to have their parents come down against those dreams because they're not realistic and they're not real? They're just going to get them in trouble. Yes. Yes, and yes again. The scriptures today offer us a Jesus who names hard realities in hard terms. He calls the hard things hard, and he's honest about how real these things are, all these yeses to all these awful situations. But what he's saying is not so much prescription as it is description. It's not about what he wants to happen or he thinks should happen. He's telling us the way it is for all of us. He's not just saying here that this is a good thing, all these divisions, mother against daughter, daughter-in-law against son-in-law. Well, that might not be that surprising, the last one. Father against son. He's not saying this is a good thing. He's just saying this is reality. This is what happens. He's saying in these days this is just the way things are. As Jesus looked around the world at the way things just are, and as the early church in those first 100, 200, 300 years looked at its state in the world as it was obvious, it was clear that followers of this Jesus along his way would suffer the sword of division, because that's just what was happening already all around them. This is description, not prescription. It would mean that these earlier followers would have to make excruciating choices, because following him along the way of true justice was putting them at odds with the structures around them. Government, yes. Religion, yes. And family, yes. Yes, even in their own families. They were starting to see that martyrdom is going to happen. And Jesus is not saying this is a good thing, that this is somehow a blessing. He's just naming it. It's not how he would have wanted it, but it is the truth. In the first reading this morning, Jeremiah is thrown into a cistern and left for dead. Do you know why? Because if people started listening to his words, the livelihood of others would be affected. Their gross national income, their bank accounts would be affected. Their positions of power and title would be affected. And so if they didn't shut him up, they were going to lose money. So they threw him into a cistern and left him for dead. The same gospel writer who wrote this gospel in Luke himself, tells us later that a sword pierced the heart of Mary, this innocent woman who was just trying to do the right thing and be obedient to God. A sword pierced her very soul. And we know how the Jesus story ends, how it goes for all those around him, including himself. This son of Mary, who only wanted unity of all people and equality and respect for every human life, who didn't get it himself, even as a sword threatened his very life and divided so many around him. The letter to the Hebrews says it so powerfully, I think. Consider how Jesus endured such opposition for this good news, such opposition from the evil folks. But he endured it so that you might not grow weary and you might not lose heart when that same junk happens to you. When it's your turn to be treated unjustly, when evil comes to you, especially through no fault of your own, and especially exaggerated way more than you deserve. He doesn't want you to grow weary or lose heart when that happens. It happened to him too. I am reminded of a text I received just moments after the news broke of those shootings of those innocent kids up east the year before last. It simply read, "Evil is happening in Connecticut, Gare." There's no exclamation point after it, no hysterics. It was stated just as a matter of fact. And I printed it out, and it's on the ledge of my bathroom upstairs because I don't want to forget it the next time I experience evil, like nothing like that for sure, but evil. Evil's happening in Connecticut, Gare. Evil's happening. And it will. We live in a world of swords, some in our own words, some in our own hearts. The divisions among us are threatening to us. They threaten the predictability and the stability of our lives. Truth is, we don't want to think like this is true, but the truth is our stability is always hanging by a shoestring. Always did, always will. A stable, peaceful, calm life, shoestring. While it is true we value predictability and stability, nothing wrong with enjoying it, it can't be trusted to last. Every day the news reminds us of this and of that most painful reality. Listen to the petitions as they're spoken here sometimes on a Sunday like this. An explosion here in the world, an errant bullet, an odd lump, an overheard comment. Everything can throw our world into chaos. But chaos can also come from the force of love in the midst of all this evil. How about the chaos that happened to all those people in Boston at the marathon when those bombs went off who ran towards the explosion to help? That was not a calm, stable moment for anybody. At such moments, we are powerless to do anything about this. Evil and love shift the ground we stand on. So much for stability. A couple weeks ago, I had a chance to see a play that a couple of our students were very involved in, Jack and Pete. He did an amazing job. It's called Red. It's a story of an artist and atheist named Mark Rothko, especially towards the end of his life. Mark Rothko, if you don't know him as the artist, his paintings are really around in most major museums, and I love his work, actually. I find it profoundly spiritual. And when you go in the new wing of the St. Louis Art Museum, it's really standing out now along the aisle to the right as you go in. It's just boom, right there. It's the square swatches, if you will, against usually a black or red background, usually red or other colors. Do you know what he wrote was his biggest fear in life? Now imagine those squares in black and red. Referring to the colors of his paintings, he said, "The biggest fear of my life is that one day the blacks will swallow the reds." The blacks will swallow the reds. And for him, one day it did. If we are as honest as men like Rothko about reality and Jesus of Nazareth, the black once glimpsed is always there. But we don't have to be preoccupied with it. It's always there. It ain't going away. The darkness is real. But we don't have to be preoccupied by it. Rothko was. He saw the same thing Jesus did, but he was preoccupied with it. And it seems the truth of the world as it is proved too much for Rothko, Mark Rothko, and he killed himself. He committed suicide. You and I have something even more than art, as helpful as that is. We have the artist. We have the artist, not just the art. The Bible names reality in unsparing terms. And Jesus is just being honest with us about the brokenness of the world. No wool pulled over this man's eyes. But as any recovering addict in this church this morning could tell you, hard truths are the only ground for building a life. Hard truths are the only ground for building real hope. And brokenness is unnecessary for beginning for healing. Things break, then they can be healed. Yes, this Messiah Christ, if he is to be followed, will witness division coming all around for those who seek to live his way. Chances are you've known it yourself already, and you've certainly seen it in those around you. I see it so much, too much, in the lives of our students who are just trying to do the right thing. They're just trying to do it the right way, and they get dumped on for it. I see it too much. Breaks my heart, but it's real. They're trying to do the right things for all the right reasons, and it costs them sometimes dearly. We have a Savior who is not afraid to name the brokenness, and goes on to say that this very brokenness is the very ground on which the inbreaking of God's salvation happens. My friends, this is clearly revealed in the mystery of the Incarnation, which is God embracing it all, the reds and the blacks, embracing it all. God embraced it all and became part of it all. And in the mystery of the Paschal mystery, the mystery of faith we proclaim at every Mass, reminds us what we believe, that when violence happens to us, and even through us, God can save us. That's the truth. That when my grades go down because I didn't cheat, when I get ridiculed for just being myself, when I want to make a radical choice because of my faith, healing can begin right there. Healing can begin. And my friends, hope has a chance of being born. The blacks belong, you see. They belong.